In the customization world, one of the most appreciated things is the freedom to create. Almost like a playground to expand creativity and passion. Just as in all areas, there is the usual path and its opposite. In other words, that path that only very few dare to take. And today's machine is one of those cases. In fact, I think I can say this project takes the creativity factor to the highest possible level. If you like being surprised and seeing things you've never seen before, today will be one of those days. Welcome to Racertv. At this point, you will certainly be trying to identify which Yamaha model this is. And if I were you, I would be doing the same, because this Yamaha looks like it was made in the early 90s. And even more interesting, it appears to be in its original condition. To reach this conclusion, just look at several Yamaha models that were sold in the late 80s and early 90s. The similarities are undeniable. But at the same time, this motorcycle has features which are not from that same period. Things like the frame structure, LED headlight, inverted front suspension, side mono shock absorber, and the exhaust under the seat. None of this existed around 35 years ago. And the most impressive, this section in the front suspension never existed at all. But I'll explain everything in a moment. This very impressive project was built by Roman Juriš from Slovakia. The most curious thing is that he is not exactly a professional builder. He modifies motorcycles purely as a hobby and for his own pleasure, which makes everything even more spectacular. This is the Yamaha XS400 Roadster. Roman wanted a slim build with clean lines. Something like the good old 1976 Laverde 750 or a 1967 Honda CB250, but with a modern design. It all started with a non-running 1984 XS400. But as you are already expecting to hear, only the engine and some of the wiring remain from the original Yamaha. This means everything else was made from scratch or highly modified. The main highlight of the project has to be this section. And I must say, what a genius mechanism. Roman called this system progressive upside-down fork. The purpose of this device is basically to minimize the front suspension travel during braking. A system he is in the process of patenting. According to Roman, there are 3 patent claims. Here is how it works. As you can see here, part of the damping is absorbed by this system. Let's say for a 60 mm suspension travel of the wheel, there is a 30 mm lift in the fork. If I understand it correctly, the total damping is distributed along the forks and the lower mechanism. The second advantage of this system's damping is that the wheel advances slightly, maintaining the wheelbase. You can confirm this in this slow motion sequence. The third benefit is the separation of spring and braking force. In other words, the motorcycle does not dive when braking. Unfortunately, I don't have any videos demonstrating this last feature, but it would be something similar to this modified clip sequence. Roman explained to me, this is still an experimental version. Currently, the suspension springs still need some improvements regarding their hardness. Therefore, it was not possible to obtain images of the behavior of this system under braking. But it will only be a matter of time before everything works perfectly. I must say there are several anti-dive systems developed through the years. Some work mechanically, others hydraulically, and of course electronically. But what makes Roman's system more interesting is the fact it was developed in a small workshop located in his house's basement. And I can only express my admiration for Roman, for his genius and perseverance. As far as the rest of this project goes, I have to say the awesome factor continues to dominate. The entire frame structure was made from scratch. The beautiful swing arm is from a small Yamaha model, but it was highly modified. And why did Roman change the mounting point of the central monoshock? Because he needed free space for the custom-made central pipe of the exhaust system. Another surprising feature is the design of the body parts. No one would say that all of these pieces are customized, especially the fuel tank. Surprisingly, all surfaces were modeled from clay, allowing the panels to be made in fiberglass. But the real fuel tank is under this cover. And why? Observe the space in this section, where the battery and part of the electrical system are located. Many of you will be wondering if there is a passenger seat under this cover. Unfortunately, no. I'm not sure, but I think this cover is just for accessing the exhaust bolts on the back. And where is the tail light? According to Roman, these turn signals solve the problem because they perform all three functions: brake light, parking light, and of course, turn signals. Roman was very clever in creating these little pieces. Although they are very discreet, I would say they are essential to achieve that original factory flavor. Because when I look at this Yamaha, it is extremely hard to believe it is a custom motorcycle. This is certainly not a consensual approach among most customization enthusiasts. But it is something so difficult to achieve that I can only congratulate Roman for having conquered such a rare feat. Thank you for watching Racertv. And as always, I hope to see you on the next video.